Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join today's webinar, Accelerating Speed to Value, How a Powerful Alliance Revolutionizes Test Automation. Before we get going, let's talk about how you can submit questions. You can ask questions a couple ways. First, in the questions box on the right-hand side of your panel, you can submit your question there, or you can also submit your question in the chat box, and we'll address them later at the end of the call. So without further ado, I'm going to turn you guys over to meet our panelists. Mark, do you want to take a quick moment, introduce yourself, and then turn over to Dan?
Thank you, Gail. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I'm Mark Scruggs. I am the president and COO of SureTest. SureTest was born of Santa Rosa Consulting. It was originally incubated as a business unit within the consulting business, and we spun it out about a year and a half ago as a standalone company so we could focus on just SureTest because we believe that there's such a need in the market for this type of solution. So happy to be here today, and I'll turn it over to Dan to introduce himself.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Gayla. Yeah, my name is Daniel Gannon, and I'm responsible for our strategic alliances, channels, and essentially ecosystem development and management for Eggplant, which is part of Keysight Technologies as our parent company. I've been in the software testing business for close to 20 years, and in particular focusing on complex applications, enterprise applications that require end-to-end business process validation and highly configurable, highly customized, and where technology coupled with expertise makes a difference. So I'm happy to be here and looking forward to the conversation today.
Excellent. Thank you, Daniel. All right, so just a little bit about the agenda for today. We'll talk first about our partnership and how it came to be, and very excited about working with Daniel and his team over at Eggplant and Keysight. We'll touch a little bit on some of the client successes that we're seeing out in the market and our clients' experience. We'll talk a little bit more about just the solution itself, and we'll wrap that part of the conversation up with a quick demo so you can actually see the solution in action. And then we'll wrap up with a quick conversation about how we can go about measuring an ROI, return on investment for our clients, and talk a little bit about what some of our clients are experiencing in terms of the return on investment. And then last but not least, some discussions and questions. So I thought I'd start here and just ask Daniel to add any commentary. We did an exhaustive search for a partner when we originally, again, kind of came up with the idea of leveraging some tools to do more automated testing. This was back about 3 years ago. We felt like, and after that exhaustive search, that Eggplant was the best tool in the market, really for probably 3 key reasons. If we looked at some of the criteria that we were evaluating, one is if you think about the, we call them patient journeys, the integrated test scripts within an EHR, they are really complex, right? Some of these patient journeys that we build out for our clients are 4 or 5 day test scripts, and the complexity and the amount of variability that can go into those test scripts were significant. And we really felt like Eggplant did a great job of handling that complexity more than any of the other tools we looked at. I think the second key reason was we love the audit capability of the tool. You'll see a little bit in the demo, as the scripts execute, they store in the audit log every keystroke, every mouse click, every field that gets filled out in that test script. And so when you have a test script that fails, you can go back and look in the audit tool to see exactly where it failed. They even do a screenshot of the failure for you. So we've used that in a number of cases to package up for some of our EHR vendors, because of course the first question they ask is, when you get a failure, is can you replicate that for them? And so we really like the audit capability that came with the tool, and our clients do as well, because many of them are using those audit logs as an artifact if they need to go back and do any analysis on whether something, a bug that made it into production, what happened during the test and why maybe, the test didn't catch that for some reason. And then the other key reason is the way that the tool interacts with the user interface. Essentially, we're mimicking an end user in terms of what their interactions are with the screen. It does not go behind the scenes and touch the database directly. It's using all the same security and logic that an end user would use as they're interacting with the application itself. And of course, a lot of application vendors prefer that, and some of the tools in the market actually are hitting the application directly and kind of behind the scenes, if you will. So that was the other reason why we really felt like this tool was the right one for this need. Dan, anything you would add?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yeah, as Mark mentioned, I mean, we have some really sophisticated technology that does some very unique things. And I'm going to apologize in advance if you hear this piercing sound. There's a little fire alarm going on. Hopefully, it goes away. But as we build out our partner sort of ecosystem, we look for partners. We're really quite selective. We look for partners that have deep expertise, not only in just our tools, but the application of those tools into customer environments to achieve, substantial results. And, particularly the kinds of applications that SureTest deals with, they, these are very complicated, complex applications. They're generally highly configured or customized. They are typically integrated in with other technologies and applications. And so to genuinely test an end-to-end business process, ensure you can validate it, it requires a really substantial amount of domain expertise and in both the environment and the applications you want to test and the tools themselves. And SureTest is, a great example of someone who's got that level of deep expertise, and the alchemy of bringing in that expertise with the understanding of the environment and our tools lends itself to, really an outstanding result for the end user customer. Something that we'll talk about some of the metrics and the results that they have from the use of the technology. So, so those are the things that I think are really important, and and particularly healthcare. It's very definition of mission critical applications, right? You're talking about patients' well-being, often lives, and managing those systems and applications and technologies, ensuring that everything works exactly as it is supposed to, is absolutely essential. And we're really proud and pleased with our partnership with SureTest, because we think that they really represent the that combination of skills and expertise and applied to a particular domain. Mark, back to you.
Thank you for that. Excellent. Thanks, Galen. Next slide, please. So we're very proud of our client success. We have had a long-standing relationship with KLAS. This is a new category for them, admittedly. We believe that we're kind of on the leading edge of some of the automation we're doing around testing, but they wanted to do what they call a spotlight report for us. And they went out and surveyed a number of our clients, and we're proud to say that, and I think KLAS will even say this, that this was the first time ever that they had done a report where there are A+ across the board. So we're very proud of this fact. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the successes we've had with some of our clients, but you can see on the left-hand side there just some of the the kudos, if you will, and some of the feedback from our clients in terms of the number of resources that they're able to give back to the organization through leveraging automation, and the Novan example where they disbanded a 12-person testing team. Other clients are eliminating thousands of hours a year in manual testing. We've seen some ROIs in 3 digits in the percentage range. So we just very proud of this report, and I think it again just continues to reiterate not only the importance of the solution, but also the benefits that our clients can achieve. So just a little bit about the solution itself. I mean, this is a true end-to-end turnkey solution. We'll talk about kind of what the components are, but we believe that, like with most things, it starts with our people. Our test engineers, are all have backgrounds, and many of them were previously certified in either Epic or Cerner. So when they're working with our clients, they understand the lingo, the language, and they really understand the systems that we're building the automation for. And we leverage our library. Our library now has been built out over the last 3 years. We have over 2,000 workflows in our library for both Epic and Cerner, and it's a big part of our overall solution and our ability to get speed to value more quickly. And there's our approach. We have some best practices that we have leveraged and learned over the years, and some tips and techniques that we utilize to make sure that we get the most coverage that we can, the quickest we can, by really jump-starting the solution. And then of course we've already talked about the best tool in the market. So that combination we believe is what allows our solution to be so powerful. And it really starts with what we call our Sure Method framework. And this is where we're maximizing the coverage of the application and doing it as quickly as possible and getting that client really that speed to value. And then going from there, we talked about the library. And again, we're continuously growing the library, and that library is shared by all of our clients, so they're able to leverage that library to really jumpstart their solution. And their solution we call their SurePersona engine. So this is a personalized for those clients, and takes into account any of the potential nuances that they have in terms of their workflows and patient journeys. And then not last but certainly not least, includes 3 years of maintenance. So it's our job and our responsibility to provide that ongoing maintenance as the application changes, as workflow changes. We are keeping the scripts evergreen. So when a client is ready for that next testing event, the scripts are ready to be executed. We'll talk a little bit about just our process. So we do have a process that we have developed over time, and it really starts with capturing those workflows. So we ask the end users to walk us through their manual testing effort. Sometimes we'll even leverage a testing event, and we'll sign in with a Teams or Zoom call and actually capture the workflow that they're doing. And this artifact is used in a couple of different ways. This is really the design document, if you will, that we leverage to then go do our development on. And so our engineers are able to refer back to that artifact and that workflow capture to do the development. But many of our clients now are also leveraging them for ongoing training. So they're leveraging them in the training department, and also just from quick refreshers, if you will, push them out on their intranet to allow users to look at that workflow, to refresh their memory about how those processes should be working. Of course, we leverage our library to really jumpstart the development, and we believe that this is again a key part of our solution that helps the client get that speed to value much more quickly. And we take an iterative approach. So when we are developing portions of the automation, we do not do a big bang go live with the entire solution. We go ahead and deploy the automation once it's signed off by the client into their test environment. So we have been able to get some automation stood up as quickly as 3 to 4 weeks in some cases. So the client is starting to leverage that automation for their testing events. Galen, next slide, please. We often get a question from our clients, gee, this sounds, too good to be true, and how much time are you going to take from my employees? And it really is, we believe, a very light footprint. As we talked about on the previous slide, we leverage, in some cases, even current testing events to kind of piggyback, if you will, and do those workflow capture sessions. But it's usually no more than a couple of hours per analyst, depending on the number of application areas they may cover, in terms of showing us that workflow and capturing that digitally. And then we go off and do our development. And we might have a couple of questions here and there, but again, because of our experience with the applications and because of our healthcare knowledge and experience, in most cases, we're able to take that workflow capture and complete the development just based on that workflow capture. And then we run the automation, like you're going to see during the demo. We'll run the automation and we capture the automation running. And that's what we give back to the client to validate and verify that we have indeed scripted the automation to mirror what they do manually. And that's what they then use as their artifact to then sign off of. So it's again, a very light footprint, a little bit of time up front in terms of just walking us through the workflow so we can do that video capture. And then on the back end, just validating that the automation that we've now developed does indeed meet the requirements. The other thing worth mentioning here, and I said on the last slide, is we as we develop some of the automation, we do deploy it in that test environment. So again, our clients are seeing benefits in a matter of weeks and months, and not waiting till all the automation is complete to leverage that. So next, I think we've got a quick demo. This demo, I believe, is about 15-16 minutes long. We thought we would run the demo. You'll hear it being narrated by our technical director, Joe Miller, as he's kind of walking through the demo. You'll see these boxes kind of pop up on the screen. That's the automation engine looking for the right fields and the right data elements on the screen to fill in. And we'll answer any questions you might have after the demo, and then we'll talk a little bit about the return on investment analysis. All right, so if you think about organizations today, I mean, a lot of our clients, I don't think this is unique to our clients. Just about every hospital out there today is really struggling financially. Certainly, the epidemic, I think, began to highlight some of the financial challenges that many organizations were already having. It certainly exacerbated the staffing shortage that many organizations were already feeling. And most of our clients today, quite frankly, are requiring some sort of return on investment. And many projects are being scrutinized as part of that budget cycle to ensure that indeed we are going to see a return for the dollars that are going out the door. So we have begun working with a number of organizations. I think we've done 3 or 4 now. We've helped clients develop, their business case or develop their, presentations that they've had to take back to an executive committee or a board. And, part of our analysis and one of the tools that we leverage is what we call our ROI, or return on investment calculator. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen, the types of inputs that we're asking for. So we're going through things like, how many analysts on average are you using, either out of your testing group, if you have one, your application analysts, any clinical subject matter experts, nurses, doctors, informaticists, et cetera, that you're pulling in to do testing. So, how many on average are you leveraging for your testing activities? Some pretty straightforward things around salaries, benefit load, average salary increases, because we typically are running a 3- and 5-year ROI analysis. So we want to know what those potential salary increases will be over that period of time. And then we get into some of the questions around specific to testing. How many cycles are you running per year? We've got some clients who cannot keep up with the quarterly upgrades. It's just too much. So they're doing 2 double upgrades a year, maybe 3 upgrades a year. Other clients are acquiring other hospitals. They're, bringing up new departments, and they're doing testing cycles, 1 or 2 per month. And so we want to get into, how many cycles are you executing per year? Are there additional test cycles planned? We talked to a potential client just this morning who believes they're going to be on an acquisition spree in FY24. So they think that they're going to be running a number of additional test cycles in the 2nd year of the program. And so they want to model that in their approach. And then for each of those testing cycles, what's the average number of weeks? Most clients are spending at least 2 weeks per testing cycle for major upgrades. Some are spending 3 or 4 weeks. Other clients are doing smaller test cycles for, new departments and things like that. So it might be a shorter time frame, but what are those average number of weeks we're spending for each of our testing cycles? And then we ask questions around what is the utilization of those resources you're pulling in to do testing. Obviously, most of these people still have day jobs, and testing is, not their day job. And so are they spending, half their time during that testing cycle, 80% of their time? What percent of their time are they spending doing the actual testing activities that you might see in a normal sort of testing cycle? And then we had a client, this was kind of an idea that was spawned by a client. They said, we have, if you think about the average amount of time just our typical analyst is spending in the system testing out routine changes to the application, routine updates, routine maintenance, it's a couple of hours a day that they might be spending doing testing in the environment as they're just doing routine break fix and new implementation, not associated with a major upgrade or a new piece of feature or function that they're implementing. And so they want us to start to, because our solution is the way we run the test scripts, they're actually loaded on a schedule and they're run in an automated fashion on a consistent basis. Some clients are running them daily, other clients are running them at least once a week. And because these scripts are running in those environments, you're essentially regression testing the entire application, if you will, in some cases on a weekly basis. And so they believe that they had some significant savings because some of that testing that was being done by those analysts were now being done by the automation, and that they were getting back those hours as well. So we've built in kind of an area to capture those hours. In addition to these, we try to remind our clients to think about all of the different testing activities that you might be involved in. If you think about, now you're no longer having to update the test scripts because that's part of our responsibility. We've got utility scripts that will cleanse the test environment. So, discharge those patients, clean those rooms, kind of all that cleansing that has to happen between test cycles to get ready for the next cycle. So there's just a lot of other activities that, as our clients sat down to start thinking about, the things that, the time that they're going to get back, they want to start to include those activities as well. So that's kind of that last area is trying to capture some of those hours as well. So this is a tool that we're happy to share with you. I think it's even on our website. You can fill it in, or we're happy to get on a call and kind of walk through it with you. And then what we do is we take this data and we develop, like I said, a 3- and 5-year ROI analysis that we can give back to you and that you can, work with, play with, run different scenarios. And many of our clients have found that this is a great way to, help support, what they believe is a very positive return on investment. We've had clients, quite frankly, have come back and if you think about the range of hours saved, we've seen on the low end, somewhere in the 8,000 hours per year, up to one of our clients was estimating 20,000 hours per year saved based on the automation. So, that starts to add up to real numbers. If you're giving back, 4 to 10 full-time equivalents time to spend on other more strategic activities, because now the testing that they were doing, the manual testing, has now been automated. That's a significant time savings. So happy to work through this ROI analysis with anyone that might want to, as you're thinking about potentially embarking on this journey. So Gail, I think with that, I will turn it over to see if there are any questions. And just one other comment I'll make on the ROI. I think most of our clients have seen ROI, return on investments in less than a year, based on the way that we price the fixed fee pricing for the solution. So we think it's a very compelling business case, and something that our clients are really being able to benefit from.
And Mark, if you don't mind, I'll make just a quick comment.
Yeah, please do.
It's interesting as you look at those statistics. The the extraordinary impact, both operationally and financially. So many people look at, the direct expense side, direct ROI, and certainly that's important. But the impact operationally and the ability to focus on the things that really matter versus just trying to make sure your systems work and that, a patch from a vendor or a user-driven change doesn't disrupt your daily business is really substantial. And I'm super impressed with the way that this, this technology that you've built, this accelerator delivers on both of those sides of the equation. So I think it's an incredible solution.
Thank you. Yes. We believe that we like to joke and say that, healthcare is traditionally 10 years behind the curve in terms of adoption of technology and innovation. And we think that, many of them, I think, are taking a much more strategic view of what they can get out of their, technical assets. And, we think this is certainly one way to leverage that. So.
Thank you, guys. We do have a question in the queue, and that is, can I use the test automation on other systems?
Yes, that's a great question, Gail. It's something I probably should have mentioned. I mean, the Eggplant tool is an enterprise tool. And, so I'll take a couple angles at that. One is, if you have a test environment, and many of our clients are already achieving kind of those round trip test scenarios, if you will, to other third-party applications. So I know we have some scripts going into PACS systems, blood bank, and other third-party clinical systems. And again, if that system has a test environment and the interfaces are set up appropriately in the test environment to send the results from the core EHR, sometimes those round trips happen automatically. In some cases, it requires somebody to do something in that other system to result that lab or to draw the blood from the blood bank. And in those cases, what the tool can do, and what we've done with other clients, is we will automate the generation of an email or a text message to send to that person to prompt them to take that action in the system if it has to be done by a person. So then we get the round trip back to the application. We've also just kicked off a project with a client to take a look at their Infor environment. So, there are other clients who are, now looking at beyond just the core EHR and thinking through what are those other parts of, my application suite can I begin to leverage this tool in? So yes, great question. And absolutely, the tool is an enterprise tool that can be used across the entire ecosystem.
The next question is, or I think this is Vera, please share if your product is fire-based.
So I wish I had Joe Miller on the phone. The scripting language is probably most similar to Java, and we would have seen some of the scripting language if we could have gotten the demo to work. So is essentially mirroring or mimicking what an end user would do as they're kind of interacting with the application. So I don't know if from an interface or integration standpoint if it would meet the FHIR standard. I don't know if that's even applicable for the scripting that we're doing. Maybe Gayla, we can if we get that person's email, I can have Joe follow up with an answer to that.
Absolutely. We'll follow up and perhaps schedule a showing of the demo to see how it can work. Next, can you tell us a little bit more about the auditing and reporting capabilities?
Yes. So, the audit logs are written as the scripting occurs. So the audit logs can be exported into, I think it's about a dozen different tools, PDF, Excel, all kinds of different tools if you want to export it. It shows, again, the logic of the script that's happening, and every keystroke and mouse click that's occurring in the system and what field it was on and what data is being entered. So it's capturing essentially everything that's happening during the script running. And if you do get a failure, it will even capture a screenshot of what was on the screen and what error message was displayed, for that failure. And again, if you want to see that in action, we'd be happy to get that demo scheduled and run. But you actually see it in the demo, the script working, and then the audit log. We go to an audit log on a successful script and also one that we forced it to fail, so you can see how it captures the failure information. So you can then package that up and give it to an analyst if you need to, or even send it to the vendor if it's a system bug. And I think this question came up previously. Those logs can be kept for as long as you need them. So it's just a matter of having the appropriate disk space to write to for the log. So, but there is a log kept for each time that the script is executed.
Perfect. Thank you, Mark. That's the last of the questions that I have in the queue. If we wanted to go ahead and close up.
Excellent. Well, I just want to thank everyone for joining today. Again, my apologies for not able to get the demo run, but we can certainly follow up if you have an interest in seeing it. It's about 15-20 minutes to run through the whole demo, and you get a really good feel for kind of the development process that we walk through, and of course, seeing the script run in action with those audit logs. So please let us know if you'd like us to do that follow-up. Appreciate your time today. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day and their week.
Thanks much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.